You have to love this, folks. I don't know. Can anybody hear me? I hope I got this right. It's just I got a new headset, I got a new keyboard, and all, and so it's taking me a while. It's going to take me a while to get used to this. Yeah, everybody's been going on and on about the article from the Mirror that said Jodie Whittaker has quit Doctor Who. The thing is, even if it is true, if you read the article, it said at the end of this run, which means at the end of series 13. So, if true, Jodie's doing the standard 3 years and out. No biggie. It's nearly every doctor, since Eccleston has done this. So, heck, Troughton did 3 years and got out. Same thing with Peter Davison and many others. It's not a big surprise or thing if it is true. Now, apparently Digital Spy is claiming that the BBC have put out a statement saying they will not speculate on the future of Jodie Whittaker on the show. If that is true, then guess what? She's probably going to leave at the end of this run. Now, people, of course, certain man children are out there already jumping around celebrating the news. They just got their favorite toy truck at Christmas or whatever. Now, the thing of the matter is, who do you think's going to take over for him? I'm loving how you've got certain, folks out there like Outhouse Cairo and all that going, please let her be quitting. And it turns out yada, yada, yada is going to take over the role. Really? Have you seen how the fandom treated Jodie Whittaker? Are you paying attention? Have you seen how the fandom treated Peter Capaldi? And you think some other actor is going to voluntarily just throw their hand up and go in? Now, it is one of the highest paying jobs on the BBC, and that's the only enticer. But at the same time, look at all the negative stereotypical press you get when you sign that paper saying you want to be the doctor. Now, all of a sudden, to quote Londo Malari from Babylon 5, on my planet, inauguration is a signal to assassins that a new target is being set up on the firing range. And that's the way you've got to look at it if you're going to take over for Doctor Who. The fandom these days is beyond cruel. Well, I'm not saying all of the fandom, but there's a nice little slice of it out there that if they don't get their way, they don't get what they want, they make it turn around, and they do smear articles on you with local things. Complete, half-assed journalism. Oh man, it's just amazed me how poorly a segment of the fandom has taken what's going on. It's the Mirror. The article was written by Nicola Methvin, which is the only reason why I'm addressing it, is because Nicola has been more right than wrong in her previous articles regarding Doctor Who on the Mirror. Most of the time, if it was somebody else writing it, I wouldn't even give it the time of day. Now, is it possible she's leaving? It could be. This is her 3rd year. She could be looking, 3rd year out. I want to go do other things. And, it's kind of sad it'll be a short season due to COVID. But sadly, you've got a chapter of the fanboys out there who think this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to them, except for the time they almost touched boobies at a bar somewhere. And it's just amazing to me. I love that one by Emperor Dalek. But look at how you've treated Jodie Whittaker. Look at how some of you have, I'm not saying all of you. I'm saying that little slice of the fandom out there. Look at how well you've treated the current doctor. Look at how well you treated the last doctor. I actually read something today that just blew my mind on Facebook. Forgive me for being pessimistic, but this week's the New Year special only got 4.69 million in the ratings, and that is one of the lowest scoring specials ever in the history of the show. And he completely, and that's right. His last name was White, by the way, which I made mention of. Yeah, you just whitewashed the facts. Doctor Who scored $4.69 million. It was $1 million, million views on New Year's Day. That's overnight. That's before you add in plus 7, plus 28s, and all that. That's before you even add in all the streaming figures. Now, keep this in mind. It was the most watched program on the BBC for the day. Notice how they omit that little fact? Everybody's living in this dream world that you're going to get 10 million views on a show anymore. It doesn't happen, kids. One of the highest rated specials, of course, was Voyage of the Damned. And it got like, I can't remember, like mega ratings, but it's like, yeah, but that's before the BBC player and all that was set up. That was how many years ago before streaming became the big thing? You see what I mean? You can't judge a show based off ratings from like even 10 years ago. Well, hell, not even 5 years ago, because more people are streaming television now, or streaming their program, than they are watching it on a television. But still, 4.7 million viewers on telly on New Year's Day. And I figure this thing's going to be somewhere or just over 6 million by the time everything's added in. And that's where you even put the streaming figures in. But that's not good enough. Yet they keep forgetting that the lowest rated show ever for Doctor Who was under the Moffat era. That was Eaters of Light, which scored like not even 3 million views. Now, in this case, as I explained before back then, I even had a program where I explained this. I try to find it, but it'll break my brain. Okay. But it was also the World Cup tournament and stuff going on at that point. Yeah, you can't base it off that anymore. Thank you. It was 13.9 million, but that's back before you had BBC iPlayer. That's back before you had like even iTunes and stuff like that were firmly established. Yep, you're right. TV viewing figures for everything in the UK are down across the board. More people are watching on their computers than they are on their televisions anymore. And so when you score almost 5 million on the telly these days, that's damn good. Especially when you pull off the most watched program on the day. Heck, I think a friend of mine even told me the Queen's speech ain't even bringing in 4 million these days on Christmas Day. So, all right. So I'm just saying it's a slice of the fandom out there have had it in for Chibnall Whittaker since the beginning. And they've been trying all these nifty little ways now to get back at him. Like going into Facebook groups like Jodie Whittaker fans, yada, 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 knowing full well it's a pro Whittaker group. And then they start posting bullying nonsense. Knowing full well it's like, dude, you've just, walked into a synagogue dressed in a Nazi uniform. It's like, dude, I hate to use that example, but that's what I'm saying. It's okay. Before she damages, dude, she's not going to damage her credibility as an actress with Doctor Who. Where are you getting that crap? I hate to tell you all, let me in on some bad news. For you folks who have been out there plugging it into people's brain that everybody on the planet is with you and that because you hate what Chibnall and Whittaker have put out in the last 2 seasons, the whole rest of the planet must secretly be in on it. I got some bad news for you, Chuck. You're in the minority. Does the name Custer mean anything to you? Because over and over and over again, you've been proved wrong. Wrong. Spell that word. It has a W in it. Wrong. Hell, I'll never forget when it was supposed to only get... Hell, there was somebody out there running around saying that the New Year's Day special wasn't even going to get 1 million views. Landed damn near 5. She was already a success, you crazy man. Nope, not at all. However, she's not become a major success either. Dude, she was already a successful actress before. She still is. Get over it. Please do not give me this. You're only being a dick because you're worried about Jodie Whittaker's career. I'm tired of that line too. All I know is this. Sooner or later, Doctor Who will be canceled. It's inevitable. Sooner or later, it'll be, more trouble than it's worth. The BBC will shut it down. But of course, you know what's going to happen. Minor parts? Dude, you don't even know what you're talking about then. Minor parts? Really? Have you done any research on Jodie Whittaker? You're really making yourself look like an idiot right now. I don't even have to say another word. Just keep talking in the chat. I'm not even going to address you anymore. You obviously have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Not a clue. Exactly. Because they keep comparing it back to the Tenet era. And the thing is, in the Tenet era, streaming TV was only beginning to come online. And it's like everyone notices, though, that things did start to drop beginning after Matt Smith took over. And that's not an attack on Matt Smith. It's just a lot of fans left when Tenet left and RTD left. Not a huge chunk, but just enough. And also, if you look at the graphs, the show's been slowly going downhill ever since. And the thing is, it's not anything against the actors or the showrunners who were in charge at that time. It's the simple fact that as a show keeps going, you have viewers who grow up, they outgrow it, or they move on. Plus, it doesn't help any that the BBC keeps doing split seasons and years off. There's an old saying, out of sight, out of mind. And if you keep, taking the show off the air in favor of others, like look at what happened with Capaldi in Series 10. They took a year off between 9 and 10. They came back in Series 10 and barely made 5.5 million viewers average for the whole series. When the series before, they were just over 7 million. Now, this doesn't mean we got to go fire Capaldi and all that. It wasn't his fault. They decided, and I got this from an inside source, that year they wanted to focus on Sherlock. I believe that was 2016. So that's why they didn't bother filming a series of Doctor Who for that year. And meanwhile, Sherlock's done how many series versus Doctor Who? It's like, I don't know why they're still so focused on a series where your two leading men are going to probably be off doing major motion pictures more than they're going to be there doing an actual series for you. So I lean towards, I call it. Once again, somebody don't know what you're talking about. Bradley Walsh left. He's not taking a break. He took up another series on ITV. So that man never stops working. It's just, it came down between, do I go over here where I make a little more money? Plus I think I've done my mission on this show. So he decided to leave. Chibs needs to go now. Let me ask you a question, Jamie, and answer me honestly. Who you think's going to take over? I got all night. Tell me, who do you think's going to take over Doctor Who when Chibs leaves? Thank you, Who's Books. Nobody. And even if they get somebody in there, it'll be somebody you've never heard of, who probably never heard of the show. And he'll just be there to make sure everything runs and they pump it out like a cookie cutter factory. And that'll be it. Because when Chibs leaves, nobody else is going to want to touch this role. And I've said this repeatedly, but it's true. A selection of the fandom crucified Chibnall the second he took the job. Matter of fact, one thing I'm sick and tired of hearing about is they've been crucifying Jodie over that big cancer moment with her and Graham over a year ago, 2 years ago now. They keep dragging that scene up like, I'm like, really? That's all you could find is that same thing over and over and over again? Let's remind me, all right, if that was such an evil, mean thing, let's go back to Capaldi and into the Dalek. I don't see people dragging his name through the mud how many years later over some particular scenes out of that episode. Yet Jodie Whittaker has been dragged through the mud, held to standards that no one's ever going to meet. You've got a section of this fandom that have set the bar so high, I don't even think Philip Hinchcliffe could hit it with a jetpack. Yeah, plus your, like I said, your other showrunners, look at how well sections of the fandom treated RTD towards the end. A lot of you don't know about that, do you? And look at how well some of the sections of the fandom treated Moffat. See what I mean? Everybody's forgotten about all that, have they? And then they wonder why nobody wants to do this show. The second you stick your hand up, you've got about 500,000 amateur sleuths, armchair journalists, guys with about as much expertise as being a journalist, I mean, as I have at Diction right now. Okay, but you see what I mean? Yeah, they did it to Moffat after a couple of years. They did it to Chibnall before he even got up the hill. Well, most of the doctors up till now have been relative unknowns. Tennant was already known to RTD. That's how he landed the job. Matt Smith was pretty much completely unknown territory. Peter Capaldi, though, he'd been around the block a bunch of times. Whittaker, like I said, I don't know how this guy is going here ranting about Whittaker's career when Whittaker was an established actress, dude. She done motion pictures and shit. She didn't, same thing with Capaldi. Capaldi, a lot of people don't know this. Capaldi has an Oscar for like best director short film. He didn't need that hassle, but he did it because he loved the show. And sadly, you got a portion of the fandom who are doling out so much hate, it's swallowing over the love. I loved Capaldi. Like I said, I'll never forget. I think he's one of my favorite. I don't like to rate doctors, but he's definitely up there now. He really is. Like I said, Whittaker, probably not towards the top 5, but hey, she did her job. She went in there. She kept the show going. Are you kidding? Trekopedia? Remember Doctor Who, man? He said every doctor after the 4th was complete shit. He didn't consider anything canon after Tom Baker fell off the tower. And even then, he had problems with stuff they did under the JNT era. But here's the other broken record I'm tired of. The Timeless Children wrecked Doctor Who. Okay, Stephen Moffat put out this beautiful tweet. I think it was over on Instagram. Somebody went up to him and they said, Stephen, shouldn't you be pissed off about what Chibnall did with the Timeless Children? And he said, are you kidding me? I'm still ticked off after the War Games. What's this doctor? What are this Time Lord nonsense? The show has been through so many major canon shifts in the last 57 years that another one isn't going to kill it. What's going to kill it is a nice little disease called toxic fandom. You've got a group of people out there who've decided that what they want is what's best for everyone. And sadly, as a human race, we tend to do that. So here's the thing. If Jodie Whittaker is quitting, it's not unexpected. This isn't like a certain other channel who's been predicting she's been regenerating since, Series 11. It's been 3 years now. Series 13 will be her 3rd run. And hey, she may want to get out and go do other things, because when you go to do Doctor Who now, because of the COVID restrictions and all that, you're basically sequestered. Maybe she wants to get out of the country, go spend some time with the husband here in America, and maybe focus on other things in her career. So it's not, it's not unprecedented. 3 years and out, pretty much the standard. Now, a lot of people assume from the headline that, she'd basically quit that second. No, if you read the article, it said, no, she's going to finish the run. And then I'm done. That's it. I'm gone. Now, I think we'll know the truth of it we got to keep our eye on the filming schedule, because what they did this last year was they filmed Series 12. No, sorry, they filmed Revolution of the Daleks along with Series 12. And the reason why they did that is because that way Tarzan Cole could immediately be released from his contract. Same thing with Bradley Walsh. They can immediately go on to do other things or take a break and they'll go, then go on to do whatever they've already signed on to do. Or what they could do is the same thing as they did, is they could film the special with Series 13. And if there's a regeneration sequence in that, if they do that, that way, boom, she can be released from her contract and off she goes. Now, here's the thing to look out for. Look out for if there's any scheduled convention appearances. I don't know if she's going to go that route because Tarzan Cole was immediately at Chicago TARDIS last year. And we're all sitting there looking at each other going, he has to be let out of his contract. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing a con appearance here in America just off the bat like that. Yeah, sadly, like I said, here's the thing. My best recommended thing I can tell you, a lot of people have been letting themselves get down and all that. As you saw, I put up a tweet earlier today because I literally am sick of it. You'll notice I've been making less videos between what's been going on with my, it's with my wife's family. I don't want to go into it. That's their personal business. But between the toxic fandom, what's been going on here off camera, I've literally just fell into the pit of despair. I did. I just got to the point I didn't care anymore. I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't. I should have been editing, and I'm not going to lie because these people put out their time. I should have been editing the next chapter for Dr. Freedom and Eric, but no, I literally fell right back into Fallout. I've been hiding in 23rd century Earth, alternate Earth, for since even before I went on break, I was hiding there. Because it's an escape from this reality. That's why I tend to avoid video games usually, because I used to do that a lot when I was younger. And when I got into Fallout, I started with Fallout 3. I haven't played New Vegas yet, but Fallout 4 really sucked me in. And whenever I want to disappear into that other reality, I go there. And I'm not kidding. I put on a set of headphones and I'm literally just not here. Because sometimes it's the only way I can deal with things. It's all over the British media tribulations. All right, has anyone else announced it yet other than the Mirror? Yeah, I've been putting a lot of mods on my Fallout 4 because I already beat all the DLCs and all that. So, all right, the Sun, no, I don't buy the Sun. Like I said, the only reason I bought the Mirror article is look for a young lady's name named Nicola Methven. If she's written the article, there's a good chance it's true. Radio Times, are they picking up on it? They're probably picking up on what the Mirror said. $50 says they've quit. They're quoting the Mirror. But as I said, it's not anything new. All of our modern doctors, except for Eccleston, have done about 3 years and out. So it's not like it's a big deal. Here's the thing, though. Like I said, who's going to be dumb enough to take the job afterward? It probably will be a relative unknown because, Matt Smith wasn't familiar with the fandom at all until after he got into Doctor Who. He was not a Whovian at all. It wasn't until later he picked up on it a bit. The good news is, did y'all hear he's playing Daemon Targaryen in that Game of Thrones prequel no one's going to care about. And I always thought it was funny they spelled his name Daemon, Daemon. And then I thought, oh, God, that sounds like the name of a Ferengi ship captain from Star Trek. It's like, he is Daemon Targaryen, not the Ferengi. Anthony Stewart Head, no, he's a bit too old now. I love him as an actor, a singer, a performer. But, yeah. No, Coleman. No. Yeah, they're not going to get Coleman in there. She knows better, Jenna Coleman. Why not another female actor? We've had how many years of male actors? I say anybody who gets in there who can do the job, Hire him. Anybody who's idiotic enough to apply, hire him. Hey, I can see that now. Pretend I'm the BBC content head guy. Okay. All right. We're going to do a little role playing. So what's this I hear? Hang on a second. Let me look at the all right. We're going to pretend this bounty towel is a resume. Okay. There's a. So let me see. Horace McRula, who works down at the local chippy shop, has just handed in a resume. Let me see. He's had a couple of years as a dog catcher. He used to tame rats and likes to eat his own toe jam. Hire him. Because that's Idris Elba will never play Doctor Who. He's already said that openly. He has no interest in it. Besides, come on, Idris Elba. Hey, folks, I don't know why. It's like, oh, why do you think all the British actors are coming to America? They're looking for money. Come on, $240K a year? The kids over there on Stranger Things make $250K an episode. I'm more negative against the show than I remember. I'm one of the only guys standing here saying, maybe you should enjoy what you have while you have it. No, you got all these guys out here beating the drum saying, cancel the show now, cancel the show. The only reason I want them to cancel the show is so all these guys no longer have grounds to bitch. Let it stay off for about 10 years and maybe we'll go, classic song, don't know what you got until it's gone. Because maybe if they go through the same thing some of us did where it was gone for over a decade, they'll suddenly go, maybe that wasn't so bad. Maybe I shouldn't have been such an asshole on the internet. Ugh. Okay, so here's the deal, kids. The article was written by Nicola Methvin. The article is written by Nicola Methvin, who was put in the mirror. Like I said, if it had been anybody else who'd written it in the mirror, I wouldn't have given it 3 seconds of attention. But she's had a history of being more right than wrong as far as Doctor Who goes. There's also somebody running around screaming that, they talked to Jodie on WhatsApp. She said it's not true. But at the same time, it's like, how do I know you even really have access to that type of information? So Nacho Cal. Yeah, that right on the head. I'm not kidding. It's like they'd have to really get somebody completely unknown and unfamiliar with this fandom to be crazy enough. Now, Paul McGann's not going to do it either. No, I'm sorry. Not after the way they boned him over on the 50th anniversary. I wouldn't blame him. He should have been the War Doctor, period. End of discussion. As much as I love John Hurt's performance in there, that was 950% wrong. That's another thing somebody brought up the other day about how they shoehorned in all these doctors and all that because of timeless children. And I'm like, War Doctor? Ugh. Hot dog stand guy would be my pick. Well done, Marty. I love that one. That's cool. No, Chibs ain't going nowhere yet. I don't know why everybody assumes because the current doctor's leaving, Whittaker. Chibs is leaving with her. No, remember, because RTD went through 2 doctors, Moffat went through 2 doctors. So please don't even nominate me for Doctor Who. I wouldn't know what to do with it, to be honest with you, because you especially you guys who are so into the new stuff. I would really, really like. Let me see. Opening episode, Sophie Aldred returns as Ace. Bam, But, the BBC probably would never let me do it. And then I'd have to go hit somebody with a baseball bat. See, that's one of the reasons why I don't harp on showrunners. Everybody's under this delusion that when you become a showrunner after RTD had all the power. Because they basically said, okay, RTD, go do this. yada, yada, yada. Because they didn't think it was going to last a season. Then boom, bam, it's a hit. RTD's like, me and my friend Julie here want to start discussing about what's going to go on from now on. And that's how you got Torchwood. That's how you got Sarah Jane, back in school reunion, which led to Sarah Jane Adventures. And then, sadly, Liz Sladen passed away, which cut Sarah Jane Adventures short. Torchwood kind of fizzled out because they kept, Children of Earth, magnificent. Then they went and did Miracle Day. Oh, God, what was they thinking? Who was the brilliant genius? Now, RTD must have really been burnt out. I got an idea. Let me write a storyline where we make a martyr out of a pedophile child killer. Somebody should have cracked him across the head with a fish. It's like, what were you thinking? Not to mention the fact that it was like a 5-hour script, and you could tell they had maybe enough material for a 5-parter, and they stretched it out to 10 episodes. It's like they had a lot of padded filler. We did get to see Gwen Cooper in a dress, though. Yeah, but all the unnecessary sex scenes, hetero and homo, all those scenes that were eating up time just to pad filler, that shouldn't have happened. Because that right there kind of gave me a hint. Oh, great. Now you're trying to use sex to sell this show. It was, edgy in its way when it was back on BBC or whatever branch it was at the time. Sorry, my brain's flickering. But, they did have a lot of sex in it, especially the orgasm monster, which I'll never let them forget that. But when you got sex scenes that last like 10, 15 minutes, that kind of tells me you're padding an episode, okay? All right, no. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just going over what happened with Torchwood. I was okay. But let's skip to the chase. I went off on a sidetrack, okay? Thank you for getting me back on track. Then Moffat comes in. Now, Moffat, really popular based off the scripts he had performed, for Doctor Who, like Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead, of course, Empty Child, Doctor Dances, boom, everybody thought he was going to be the grand high messiah, answerable only to God, and he walks in. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is this: Moffat wanted classic companions back in the show, but then you had the guys up on floor 6 saying, can't do that. No, he can't. No. And then he wanted classic companions and all that. And there is one source that said he wanted classic doctors just to show up in, in Miracle in the 50th. No, can't do that. No. So your average showrunner, especially by the time Chibnall steps in, and this is the guy they had to talk into doing it, I guarantee you a lot of the stuff you're seeing on the show is probably not even his fault. Well, Dave, the only reason I'm lending this any credence, Dave Glover there, is because the person who wrote this article is named Nicola Methvin. Be sure to check the byline every time if you even read an article on the Mirror. She's usually more right than she is wrong on Doctor Who matters, which was a breath of fresh air for the Mirror. I had as you all know who've been watching this show for many years, I completely wrote off the Mirror, especially after one of the reasons I even started doing this nonsense. I can't remember if it was the Mirror or the Sun. I mean, if you look it up, it's still out there, the article. You can still find it, where they said at the end of Series 5, Matt Smith was going to face off against Durrani, played by Gillian Anderson. And sure enough, it was total bullshit. It didn't happen. Now, that's the thing. Will Chibnall go for another male or Chibnall go for another female? If when he does replace her, we don't know. He ran out of ideas for a Christmas special. No, he just didn't want to do them. Here's the reason why. When he watched Doctor Who on Christmas, now, I'd love Doctor Who to go back to Christmas Day. It became a traditional thing. I'd get home from the relatives. First thing I do is go pop on my DVR copy or whatever, Doctor Who. That way I could sit there and watch it, relax, chill out. And it was kind of a nice thing to have. But the problem is Doctor Who was getting buried on Christmas Day. It really was. With the exception of, like I said, all the way back in, Voyage of the Damned, you'd have like Mrs. Brown's Boys and yada, yada, and everything else piled on it. So you're lucky if you even got a time slot at a decent point. And Chibnall just said, fine, then I'm not doing Christmas anymore. Hell, it may not even been his decision, come to think of it. As I just told you, Chris Chibnall, as much as Stephen Moffat, now RTD had a lot more leeway, in my opinion, because if you read the writer's tale, they let him get away with murder. They're employees of the British Broadcasting Corporation, which means even though they're the boss of the show, they have bosses they have to answer to. And trust me, go read up on how many TV shows have been killed by stuff, that overbosses put in. Let me give you a grand example. We're going to go way off the reservation. How many here are old enough to remember, say, American TV in the 90s? Give me a show of hands if any of you, what era I'm talking about here. All right, once upon a time, there was a television show called Titus. It was written by a man named Christopher Titus. The show had been nominated for multiple Emmy Awards, was coming up on its third season, and then guess what happened? Titus got called into a meeting, and he didn't talk about this till like on his podcast decades later. But they sat him down, and it was one of the ladies who was like big time, production manager for the studio. And she said, look, Titus, now that you've gotten these two married, we want to get with them divorced. And we want to do this storyline. And Titus, who had been in a really bad mood at that point, looked up and he goes, because he'd been working all night on another episode. He looked up and he goes, wait a minute. The whole premise of this show is about two deranged people living in deranged situations and how they manage to stay together. Now that we've got them together, because this is way before he divorced his own wife in real life. And he basically laid it out on the table and said, look, this is why it will not work. Sure enough, Titus got a series 3, then it was canceled. It wasn't canceled due to lack of ratings. It wasn't canceled due to lack of popularity. It had multiple Emmy nominations. I think it won several awards. I have to go look this up. Been a long time. They simply ran it into the ground. They put it onto a backward time slot, and they canceled it, even though it was still getting decent ratings, because Titus refused to play ball. The whole thing was based off his life, to which he still had the rights and all that. And he said, I'm not doing that. Now, sadly, if it had been a few, years later, he probably would have agreed to the divorce thing, considering what he went through with his wife, Erin, which was total hell. But, must ingest steam. Okay, so oh my God. For you 200 people who are watching, and guess what? My nipples are hard. I'm all excited because I've never had this many people in a room before. Could Jodie be quitting? It's very possible. It's her third year. Nearly every other modern doctor has quit after 3 years. It's become like a pattern. It's become like a standard. So is it possible? Yeah. Firefly, yeah, they deliberately ran Firefly into the ground as well, Fox, because they couldn't control it. Joss Whedon wouldn't play ball. And also they didn't want to end up paying the budget on a sci-fi show. So as much as they loved it, they put it on. Then they aired the pilot episode at the end. They aired half the episodes that it did have out of order. Yeah. So I agree with BTS reviews there. That's another thing. It's the end of the era. The fam's broken up. She might feel, okay, if Jodie quits, her career is over. She comes across as wet lettuce. Dude, do more research. Yeah, it started with Pat Troughton, because Peter Davison, when he decided to leave, said it was Pat Troughton who recommended to him, just do 3 years and get out. Well, no. Titus died because it was shut down by the corporation. Get your facts straight, Tiger. Apparently you weren't listening. Why am I even giving you the time of day? When do we get the Dr. Freedom OnlyFans site? Dude, if anybody wants to pay to see any part of me, I highly recommend psychological therapy. Either that or your sense of depth perception is off, and I highly, highly recommend you go see an optician. Okay, now that we have that educational moment over. Yep. And then he passed that. Yeah, Marty, you're right. Then he passed that on to Peter Davison. Yeah, the Dud Man. He's doing all the narration for Big Finish. Yeah. I heard his Tennant and his Matt Smith are impressive, but I've tried listening to his Capaldi and it didn't work for me. Well, Jakey, as I kept telling people with Doctor Who, if you don't like what's going on, wait a couple of years, it'll change. That's probably what's going to happen. Yeah, and the saddest part is about poor Bob Denver and all them was they got their last paycheck the last day they filmed. There was no such thing as getting residuals on a program back then, even if you were the major actor on it. The only person who walked out of the late 70s with residuals in his contract was Demond Wilson, who played Lamont Sanford on Sanford and Son. If anybody remembers Sanford and Son, based off Steptoe and Son, yeah, he still to this money. Sorry, he still to this day makes money off an episode of Sanford and Son that airs because he was one of the very, very first television actors to get residuals put in his contract. He's a minister now. And some really, really demented trivia for you folks who don't give a shit. Not even like so many miles that way. The original Sanford and Son Ford pickup that they used to film for the show is sitting on display at I can't remember if it's a dealership or a museum, something like that. But he actually went out there and he took pictures with it a couple of years back. But meanwhile, back to the 2021. Yes, it's hard to believe it's 2021, isn't it? That so many years now, well, actually, it seemed like 2020 lasted a decade. That's why I always refer to it as years. I love Pertwee too. Son of a Richard. Yeah, I loved Pertwee. He had his own style, his own charisma, his own panache. Yeah, I think nearly everybody else has died off Sanford and Son. Somebody just brought it up. I think he's one of the only ones left alive. Yes, I hope 2021 is much better because to quote Matt Lucas, who tweeted this out, 2020 was a dick. I'm really, really hoping that someday, before this does come to an end, that they do at least get Susan back on there. Get Carol Ann Ford back on the set because.
Hey, I see my fan base has started back up again.
So it's like that's my one hope. I don't care what you think of Doctor Who currently. I don't care if you think it's stuck in the 7th level of hell. I just want Susan Foreman to reappear. They blew a chance with Ian Chesterton for the 50th anniversary special, and that's what you get. Well, folks, I've been going on for 45 minutes. I just want to say thank you all who attended. Now, the 5-year plan, like I said, never said it was going to be the same doctor through the whole thing. So I don't know what a lot of people were assuming that this was going to be, Jodie all the way. And I'm like, never said it was. Oh, well. Any other questions, concerns, and all that before we hit the road? because I have other things to do. I do have to be up for work in the morning. Sadly, I got to go back to work after being off for a week and a half. It's not that she's overrated. It's just it would be nice to have one of the original companions appear on the show. So, any other questions, concerns? We're gonna talk about the Mandalorian on the Omega Files coming up. I've been sitting down with the guys and I'm trying to figure out how we're gonna break that down because I wanted to do it sooner, but like I said, I've been really burned out. A lot of stuff was going on this year, so we didn't really have a chance to do the podcast. And that's how it goes. Oh, here's the thing, though, the fixer. For one, remember, Gallifrey had just had its ass kicked. Okay? Let's set the stage. Let's say the Timeless Child was still out there. And you're wanting to basically get off the scene. Who do you set up to be the fall guy? The Doctor. The Doctor is never on Gallifrey. The Doctor is always out there in the universe. Boom. All you have to do is leave enough evidence. Then the Master was convinced that the Doctor was the Timeless Child. And of course, Mills, the Master, the Master's probably been duped as well. That's my theory on it's how it's going to turn out. That this whole thing was a ruse. The hell, even I can even explain the Ruth Doctor off if given enough time. But you see, yeah, exactly. That's the way I think of it. I think it's a lie. And of course, you got the haters out there in their corner are feeding on this. Like, it's the end of Doctor Who. And as I said before, somebody actually had the nerve to come on here in the comment box and say the Timeless Child had broken Doctor Who and there was a significant ratings drop. And I'm like, the last episode to air before Revolution was Timeless Children. How could you say there's been a drop in viewership when we didn't have anything new till just the other day? So I'm just loving what this guy is going on about because he's hanging out with all three of the alleged molesters he was accusing. Yep, and sadly, I know who it is. It's somebody who couldn't get off enough of the fact that they're a major celebrity on Twitter. Let's just say they do a lot of dancing. It involves a certain political movement. Yet, if anybody confronts it on him, he's claiming he's gay, has autism, and I can't remember what else. So anything you say against him now is hate speech. I already did. It won't amount to anything because he's on fake accounts. This guy doesn't use anything real. He's a total fake. He's a fraud. That's why he's been attacking me for the last couple of years since he got booted off the Omega Files for backstabbing all his friends. Yeah, you know who you are. Okay. All right. So now that you've just hopped in, Thomas, the title of this was Jodie Whittaker Quits. And like I said, we've basically been discussing that for like almost an hour. The fact of the matter is it could be true because if you read the article, it says She'll be leaving at the end of this run. 3 years is not a big deal because every other doctor has done 3 years and gotten out. So I know I'm not going to give him, poor little Jimmy any more time than he's already gotten because he knows who he is. All righty. Well, I got to get out of here, folks. I just want to thank all of you for coming in. Remember, if you're reading something, or if you read something in the Sun, the best thing I can tell you to do with is this. The only reason I keep a copy of the Sun around, especially anywhere in my house, is if there ever comes that day I run out of toilet paper and I need something to wipe my ass with. The Mirror, the only people I believe in the Mirror regarding Doctor Who is number one, and that is Nicola Methven. And anyone else who writes anything for Mirror, I wouldn't take it at face value. Okay? So look for that name in the Mirror. You'll look at the byline before you believe any part of it. Because she's been more right than she has been wrong about things regarding Doctor Who. So it's not like she walked off set today or anything like that. It's just she's probably going to do the 3 years and out. And that's going to be, so that's no big, okay. Are they still doing the page 3 girl? I'm sorry, I'm married. I can't make a lewd joke like that. All right. So everyone, please take care of yourselves and each other. Remember, COVID out there is still running around rampant. And now there's new strains allegedly popping up. It's like it wasn't bad enough. Now it's out there making new strains. So please be careful, wash your hands, wear your masks, stay, distance, do whatever you got to do to get through this thing and pass it. Okay. So take care, everyone. Have a great night. I'll see you on the flip side. I got to get out of here. I got to be up at work for work in a few hours. So yeah, it could be BS, but at the same time, there's a good possibility it's not. So have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye. Good night, James.